I am beautiful. I am bountiful. I am bliss. These are not just words. They are the truth. So as we take that into our hearts, we might notice where we don't feel that way. Or maybe where we don't always feel that way is a better way to say it. So I invite you to be brave right now with a promise to shift it. As you pay attention to where your heart might be aching. Whether it is American politics, or the tsunami and the earthquake in Indonesia, or this morning's earthquake in Haiti, or children at the border, or hunger, or hurricane recovery anywhere, maybe more personal, a kind of sense of loss, or maybe an actual loss of a loved one, disease, relationship, heartache, finance, just whatever is breaking your heart right now. And just remember that a broken heart is an open heart. So let your heart be open to divine love, universal wisdom. Let yourself be cherished by Spirit itself, Spirit within itself, by the love you have ever felt, given, received. Let yourself be seen by this higher power, this higher presence, and rise up. Rise up as the amazingly beautiful being that you are, always have been, always will be, regardless of any circumstance. For that is the spiritual path. To use our experience, whatever is being given to us, as the way to rise and rise up out of our true nature. So take that next breath, filling up on truth, your own divinity, your own light. And then slowly and gently bring your attention back. And if you're ready, want to, really open your eyes. Good morning. Welcome to Center for Spiritual Living, Morristown. I'm Frankie, the spiritual director here. If you're here for the first time or the second time, we extend a very warm welcome. We are a small yet mighty spiritual community where amazing things happen. If you stick around, where we teach a beautiful wisdom that says anything is possible. with the power of your own mind. So, because we are fewer, if you wish, I invite you to come forward so you're not so far away. If you really like where you're sitting, please stay. But if you say, oh, I want to make it a little more cozier, it's purely selfish. I'd like you to be a little closer. So if you're up for it, you feel like it, come. If not, stay where you are. Thank you so much. This close, and then you can really hear me too. You can see my nose hair. You see my pimples. Don't have any. So welcome. Today is a beautiful day. It's October. And we are doing a theme for the year, which is 100 Years of the Science of Mind. And every month we do a new book. This month it's Creative Mind and Success, one of Ernest Holmes' first books. This is a lovely little book. It's an easy read, and it really is fun to see how the principles operate when it comes to success. And it gets us to ask what it means for each of us, because obviously it means something different for each of us. So the other thing that we're doing for October is the theme of prosperity, abundance, and wealth. So that's what I'm going to talk about today, those definitions. And then I want to talk a little bit about what gets in the way. And then some tools and a special reading by a special guest. And of course we have Rhonda Dene and Mike Bardash, so we'll welcome them. And what we always do in our center, what we probably do the most is our process of affirmative prayer, which is called Spiritual Mind Treatment. So I invite you to close your eyes and just place your attention on your heart again. Maybe where you noticed your heartache. Maybe where you're preoccupied. And so take a moment to go deeper and to surrender to the power and the presence that is already within you. And to know that there is a life that lives itself by means of each and every one of us that is beyond measure. It is that which beats our heart and breathes our lungs. It's that which gives us the capacity to overcome challenges. It is that which enables us to grow, to learn, to love, to expand in consciousness, to have compassion for our fellow human beings, our fellow life, all of life, really. And so today we open our mind and our heart, and we trust that the experience that we're having together is one that uplifts us, one that reminds us of how amazing we are, and one that inspires us to live a life in principle of the truth wisdom that has existed since the beginning of time, that we simply call the science of mind teaching. But we know it's everywhere present. It can be found anywhere and everywhere. And so we let this be a blessing so that we may be a participant in the evolution of consciousness for good in the universe. And so it is. So, 2018, October, Bountiful Living. One of the things that I did was I posted on Facebook, what do you want to hear me talk about? And I was going to have 2x4 cards, but then I forgot. So I'm going to have you write this down, or email me, or tell me, or write it to me, or write it on a piece of paper. Really, what do you want to hear me talk about? And several people said manifesting and faith. So that's kind of for you, those who've asked. I find it incredibly interesting that everybody wants abundance and prosperity. I've never met one person that says, no, it's not for me. I don't want abundance, I don't want prosperity, I don't want wealth. I prefer poverty. I prefer lack. I prefer scarcity because it's such a great way to evolve as a spiritual being. Maybe some people say that in some teachings, but not in our teaching. So isn't it interesting that the thing we all want, we don't have? and maybe is our biggest complaint. So it's not so much about wanting, it's more about welcoming. And that's really what I want to dig in today, or actually this whole month. Because if you think about it, when you are in a state of wanting, you're already in a state of lack. Because you're saying, I want more, which is saying, I don't have enough. But it's not always conscious, right? And so welcoming is a different approach. It's saying, it already is, I get to realize it with my real eyes. I get to demonstrate it from a place of clarity in my own consciousness, because we know that our consciousness creates our reality. That's the basis of our teaching. So let's look at the definitions of PAW. POW! A different kind of POW. Prosperity, abundance, and wealth. Well, abundance, think of abundance as the main principle. Think of abundance as cause with a capital C. Think of abundance as the absolute principle in the universe. It is a principle, just like love is, just like God is, just like truth is, just like the infinite is. And it becomes an inner experience, and as that inner experience, as we embody that principle, it becomes what we demonstrate, and that's prosperity. Prosperity is the realm of effect. Prosperity is the outer thing. Prosperity is the demonstration, the manifestation, the experience. It's the relative. So if abundance is the inner thing and prosperity is the outer thing, the true meaning of abundance is the divine overflow. It always means more than enough. And if we're not experiencing that, it's because somewhere in our own consciousness, we don't believe it. We don't believe in it. We don't believe we're worthy of it. We don't accept it. And that's not all conscious. Because the true meaning of prosperity means doing well. It means good fortune. And wealth is pretty much the same as prosperity. It just means wellness. Wealth means wellness. It means well-being. So we often think with prosperity in a limited way. We think it's stuff, or we think it's money. But it really translates in many different ways. Talent, relationships, career, health. All those things are representations of what prosperity can look like. So we know in our teaching that it is as within, so without. That's the basic principles that we teach. And so we're willing to look inside if we're not experiencing the kind of abundance that we truly are, the kind of prosperity that we really desire. And so I have a question that you get to answer for yourself. What would make me feel rich? What would make me feel more prosperous? What would make me feel more abundant? And when I feel that way, when I would experience that, what would that look like? And as many people as there are in this room, there will be different answers. And it might change from today to tomorrow, from last year to next year. But it's a good question for us to ask. Because if we don't have clarity about what it means for us, we cannot experience the outcome. And so the truth then is, this is the truth is that we're all standing or sitting at a table that is overflowing with abundance of everything anyone can imagine. It's ever available, not just for a day. And some of us partake and enjoy and celebrate and share and receive. And some of us take one crumb and complain about the crumb. Some of us take just a little and feel that we've already taken too much. Some of us are starving, sitting at the table, that is bountifully filled with abundance. You know who you are. You know where you are. And that is nothing to be ashamed about, because shame actually will block your good. But that is something to look at, to understand, to play with, to explore, to unpack, just for your own sake of freedom. Knowing that your own freedom then becomes your gift that you share with the world. And so we all take crumbs in a different way. I think we all walk around with something that we don't feel we have enough of. Whether it's money or love or relationships or peace or freedom or time. That's the buzzword of the day. I don't have enough time. Watch out for that one, because it's very, very sneaky and there is no truth to it. And so when you hear me talk about your own, listen to your own experience and see where your feeling of not enough shows up. And the reason it's showing up in that particular area is because you're ready to be free of it. You're ready to heal it. And it spills over in every other area of your life. And so we are asked to notice where we don't feel we have enough. It could be super, super subtle. And just in one little corner of your life. Or maybe it's everywhere. And maybe somewhere in between. So ask yourself, where do I feel that there isn't enough? In a universe that's overflowing with everything that I could possibly imagine, where do I say no? And next week, I'm actually going to talk about our excuses. Because we all have them. Whether we're conscious of it or not, we all have excuses why we can't be more abundant. So come back for that one. But it's important that we uncover the beliefs where we say, I don't have enough, I don't do enough, I'm not enough. Because first of all, they're big lies that will block your good, they will hurt you, they will break your heart. And second of all, they do not give anything back to the universe. It's actually where you are part of the problem when we look at world problems. And that's because the main law, and I always tell people this, if you have a difficult time explaining this teaching to some of your other religion friends, mainly Christian, tell them, we teach what the master teacher Jesus taught. It is done unto you as you believe. That is a very grown-up spirituality, a very grown-up principle that we're all working with all the time. I'm working with it all the time. It's done unto me as I believe. What I believe is my reality. What I believe is my experience. The good news is that you can change it. The bad news is that you can't change anyone outside. So you just work with it. And so we get to make conscious where we have been unconscious. And one way that we're unconscious is by rejecting the good that the universe bestows upon us. And so there's one way that I thought of yesterday that I'll probably take into class because it's so fun. I call it act square. It's the only place where I want you to act square. Don't act square anywhere else, because we know we don't like that being called a square, right? Especially in our teaching. But here you get to act square. So the top of the square is feel it. The side of the square is own it. The bottom of the square is explore it. And the other side of the square is clear it. So the first thing that you do when you notice that you have an unconscious belief in lack, which is any place where you don't feel you are enough, have enough, or do enough, you kind of feel that. That's the last thing we often want to do, especially when we're unconscious. We don't want to feel that. We rather get busy, complain about there not being enough time, not meditate, not do prayer, not take classes, not just run from it. Do everything else except that. But you have to feel it. You have to feel that place where you don't feel you are enough. You do enough. You have enough. And then you own it. And you say, I have a belief that I'm not good enough, smart enough, beautiful enough, lovable enough, creative enough, intelligent enough, capable enough, that I don't have enough money, that I don't have enough friends, that I don't have enough, whatever yours is, just own it. Own it. That's my place of believing in lack. And then choose it or decide to move on and heal it. See, so many of us walk around on this planet holding limiting beliefs, and we don't realize we're already choosing them or we're living them unconsciously. So now you consciously get to choose it, and most of you will say, I ain't choosing that, or I'm not going to be choosing to live in lack. I'm not going to choose to feel lonely for the rest of my life. Then you have something to work with, and then you go to work. You explore it. It might be something that you were told before you were born. It might be you were told it by a teacher. It might be something that happened along the way where you made up a story, because a lot of times the stories you think you were told, you weren't told. You just had an opinion about it. You interpreted it into something that it wasn't at all. And so all those things are really great and juicy. They're not punishments. They're not torture. They're just your opportunities to shine more brightly. And so then you clear it. Clearing it can mean that you go see a therapist. Clearing can mean that you go see a practitioner. Clearing it can mean you take a class and you learn how to do spiritual mind treatment, affirmative prayer, and you start doing it. Clearing it can be forgiving yourself or another. Clearing is you stop talking about it. Right? And so the meditation that I did earlier, when I had you go into an area where you feel your heart is breaking, whether it's the tsunami in Indonesia, this earthquake that just hit northwestern Haiti this morning, or the political picture in our country, whatever it is that you believe. Whatever it is that you are experiencing, wherever your heart is breaking, stop complaining about it. Stop talking about it. Well, I can't tell you to do that because I know you love to talk about it. Some of us, right? But begin to look inside and say, oh, this heartbreak is not about anything specific. It's bigger. And what is my part in it? What is my role in the healing that wants to take place on the planet? What wants to be healed inside of me that I've noticed? And so we clear that. So then we are ready for a shift. And I call that a holy shift. You know, whenever we have upheaval in our country, in the world, in ourselves, around us, and I think we all have, there's a reason, by the way, we are here. And we weren't in the Renaissance. We weren't there when the Holocaust happened. We weren't there when the Spain Inquisition was happening. We're here now. There's a reason why you and I are here now. And we get to be part of the change or part of the problem. And so I stand in that truth, and nobody will ever shake me out of it. Because I really believe that it's consciousness that creates our reality. So it's treat and move your feet. It's not necessarily just treating, but really listening from your higher self, your deeper self, your truer self, what is yours to then do in the world. And so I think we're all ready for a holy shift. Anybody here not ready for a shift? See, that's the cool thing, right? We're all ready for a shift. Whether it's in our personal lives, in our bodies, in our hearts, in our minds, in our souls, in the world, we're all ready for that, right? That's why we're here. And so there's 3 things that I'm going to invite you to do. First one is Make a deeper connection between your lower self and your higher self. Yourself with the small s and yourself with the capital S. Your humanness and your spirit. Your ego and your soul. Make a deeper connection. Give both of them equal time, because most of us give more time to the human self, the ego self, the worldly stuff, right? So at least start with equal time, because as we do our spiritual practices, what happens, there will be a holy shift, and you won't be as easily shaken by heartbreak. The next thing is we have to turn fear into faith. Fear is really saying, I'm in lack. Fear is saying, there's a problem. Fear is saying, heartbreak is a bad thing. Faith is saying, oh, there's an opportunity for expansion. There's an opportunity for healing. There's an opportunity for grace. There's an opportunity for me to be a true spiritual being and being in spiritual practice. So no matter what's on your table right now, what's on your plate, look at it in a different way. Have a holy shift. Instead of fearing it, have faith around it. Instead of worrying, begin to do your spiritual practices and say, this is just my soul wanting to rise me up instead of push me down. And then the third thing is gratitude. John Gillen, who's a new student in our class, shared with me something really powerful the other day. We're going to do it in class. We were talking about gratitude. We all need to have a gratitude practice. And I think many of you do. Many of you have a gratitude journal, and every day you write down all the things you're grateful for, right? Or maybe before you go to sleep, like I do, I think of all the things that I'm grateful for. And I don't stop too quickly. I stay with it and really turn it into a meditation, because there's always more. There's always more. But he said the practice that he learned and that he does is to practice gratitude until a tear falls out of your eye. Isn't that amazing? I said, can I share that? Can I use that? He says, yeah, it's not mine. To practice gratitude until a tear falls out of your eye. To practice gratitude until you feel so incredibly full that you have a holy shift. So remember that you already are abundant. You cannot not be. Because as a spiritual being, you're infused with light, with love. You are the essence of God, as you, as an individualized expression of the One. And that means abundance is in your spiritual DNA. That lack doesn't exist except in your own mind, where you decided to feel it and to see it and to think it. But by going back to the source and really unraveling where you picked that idea up, you can change it. And we change it by standing in the truth and feeling worthy of the greater good that is already available to us. And so next week I'll talk about the excuse thing. No excuses for not coming. I used to have a teacher that did that, and it just annoyed me. But he would go, it's in your consciousness. We don't do that anymore. We do it in a different way. We now say, it's in your consciousness. And so you are beautiful. You are. You are beautiful exactly the way you are. Where you don't believe that, you have to bring yourself in alignment with the truth. You're already bountiful. The table is always laid before you. You get to always partake. And you are bliss. It's how the universe created each and every one of us. We just forget. We just forget. So we're here to remember. And the universe gives us all kinds of opportunities to remember. All you have to do is turn on the TV and watch Fox News or CNN or whatever you watch, and it will remind you what one of my teachers said: the news is just a prayer request. Keep seeing the bounty and the truth as your vision that you hold for the world, for each other, and for yourself. Amen. Amen. Let's have some music. So we have a special guest, a new person in our class, a student, a person that you all have seen before, because when she came to the center, she just dove right in all the way. So Sharon McCreevy's, would you come up? She's going to read from Living a Science Mind by Ernest Holmes.
This is called God's Bounty. The darkness is never a thing of itself. It is merely a confused state. The source of our supply is not really cut off. It stops at our place of confusion and no longer functions for us. This is a perfect statement of the mental law of cause and effect, and it again warns us that we must be aware of the use we are making of the law. We must keep our thoughts straight. It is not always easy to do this, but the law of cause and effect, being no respecter of persons and always working automatically and mechanically and with mathematical precision, must flow through each one of us in the terms of our own acceptance. When we become confused and short-circuit this acceptance, we are cutting ourselves off from its supply, but we do not destroy the supply. It is still there. It is a wonderful thought to realize the eternal bounty can be short-circuited only as far as we are concerned. It cannot be either exhausted or depleted. We shall never be disappointed, for the law is always operating.
Thank you, Sharon. So many of you know Alan Sherwood. He's been a part of this community for a long time, and he just moved because he sold his house in Roselle Park and he moved to Toms River, and he's going to be part of a new community in Asbury Park with the Reverend Rhea Carroll. So we're going to have a little surprise for him. There's a jar back there. It says Alan's gift. Just throw some cash in there, and I think Jean is going to have a card for us to sign. Next weekend, the beautiful Stephanie St. Cyr, who's also brilliant, will be doing a workshop, and if you want to know more about it, the flyer is in the back. It's Friday night and Saturday all day. It's called Understanding Your Soul Path. You will really love our workshop. The week after, on the 20th, we have Marian Oxenhorn, who's a comedian. If you haven't heard her, just come. She's so funny, and she's donating all the proceeds to the Phoenix Fund. So if you come and bring 5 friends, we can fill this place up and not only have a really great time together, but do a little fundraiser for our center. She had a dream when she was in a prosperity class, and that dream was to become a comedian. She's in her 80s, early 80s, mid-80s, I don't even remember, I forget people's ages. And she became a comedian. She was at Caroline's. She's considered to be America's funniest grandma. She auditioned for America's Got Talent. Didn't get in yet. And she's just clever and smart and funny and dry and just incredibly dear. Please come and join her for that. In the afternoon, I'll be here most of the day because in the afternoon we have a memorial celebration for Lucy Webster. That's at 2 o'clock, so you can come at 2 o'clock, go out to dinner, or bring a lunch bag and stay, and then experience her Marian's comedy. So next Sunday is our town hall meeting. That's open to everyone, friends, members, everyone, just come. If you love this center, if you care about it, just come. We're having a potluck and then a meeting afterwards. We're going to let you know what's been happening. We're going to do some fun, creative stuff like we always do. And that meeting is going to be in honor of Carol Parker. Carol passed away a few weeks ago, and we had a memorial celebration for her on Wednesday. And Carol was always the one that asked the tough questions. Wasn't afraid to do that. So we're going to honor her with the town hall meeting, trusting that somebody will ask the questions that she would have asked. All right, let's do a healing closing treatment. I invite you to close your eyes. And if that heartache is still there and you haven't made the holy shift yet, just place it in your heart and let it be the recipient of this treatment. Just welcome the words in your own heart and your own mind. Right here, right now, we surrender to the power and the presence called divine love, infinite wisdom, our higher self, the truth of all truth, our essence, that which always was, always will be, is right now, the highest and best of us. We give it life, we give it expression, by consciously remembering the truth of our very being and realizing that our experiences are there to awaken us. Our experiences are there for us to see and then claim the truth. Our experience are opportunities for growth. And now that we've made that shift in our mind, we welcome life in a different way. We feel the joy of being an individualized expression of the One. We feel the power of Spirit itself in and around us. We feel the love that is ever present, nudging us forward and holding us in our arms, in its arms. And so we remember today how profoundly blessed we are. Always. How much we have to be grateful for, until a tear comes into our eyes and we feel that deeper connection with the infinite presence of divine love. And so it is. Have a great day, everybody. Have a great week.